travels, aviation, tourism, lifestyle, and destinations, while learning the people, culture, and everything in between, one episode at a time. Introducing your host, Tayar Arisadare. Welcome to the Traviator. Learn the world.
Good evening, wherever you might be joining us from. This is still the Traviator. My name is Tayo Orishadare. On today's edition of the Traviator, we are flying all the way to Tanzania, and we're just trying to move forward our collective goal of helping people learn the world. On today's edition of the Traviator, as always, I will not be doing this alone. Because we're going to the very renowned, over 1 million strong population of the Masai tribe. They are majorly located in the northern part of Tanzania and some part of Kenya. Today, I have with me in the studios someone who is a conservationist. She's originally from Germany, but she's lived among the Masai tribe for the 9th year. She's a mother of one very cute, gorgeous-looking young man. His name is Yannick, and he's married to a very strong Masai gentleman. Ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome into the studio, Stephanie Fuchs. I'm sorry, did I kill the name?
Yes, it's good.
How you doing? Hello, Yannick. How are you? Okay. So, Stephanie, first, let me thank you so much for joining us. And despite the really short notice, you've actually made this possible. On the Traviator, we believe that the world is a beautiful place. If only we will learn our truth and take our time to learn the other people's truth and use understanding and knowledge to bridge that gap. And that is what you're able to have taught us. Hey, how are you, Mr. Sokoine? How are you?
How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. You?
Thank you very much for looking after Stephanie. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Siyabonga. Okay. Yeah, so that's your husband. I mean, he's a very handsome man. You chose very well.
I agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, before I started this, I took time to really look at your page. I got stuck literally on your page. And I thought, just let me spend a few minutes, and a few minutes turned to hours. And for days, I was almost stalking you. I know Yannick now. I know Yayai. I know Moringe and Larry. I know your sister-in-law, Sendo, and the story is so beautiful. How are you today, Stephanie?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me here.
Thank you so much for joining us. The Maasai tribe is a very patriarchal one, and being that you are from Europe, where we have a bit of more gender equality, if you will, and all that. How did you tell us about it, and how have you coped thus far?
It was difficult to adapt to the culture in general, not because male and female are very strictly divided, and there's discrepancies within them as well. But it's difficult to adapt to any kind of culture. Even if I had moved from Germany to America or whatever, I think it would have been difficult. But even more so here, because it's an indigenous tribe and they have so many social rules, so many things that I don't know. Like when I go up to an elder, I have to bow my head to greet them. And then when I came here, I said to my husband, so how am I supposed to know how old this person is when I've never seen them? He's like, I'll tell you. And then sometimes he would not tell me, and then I'd be standing there, and then the person would get upset because I didn't bow my head to them, all that sort of stuff. So it was really difficult. That's just one example. And regarding the gender division, that was also difficult because my husband tried to spend time with me, but really as a Maasai warrior, he's not supposed to hang out with his wife. it was really difficult, and I was really lonely, and I was upset, and it was really, really difficult. Like, people look at me now and I think, oh, it's a piece of cake. You make it look so easy, but I struggled.
Right.
I started sharing my life maybe 3 years ago on Instagram. And the
Right.
6 years before that, I was struggling. I was going back to Germany every year for maybe 2 months or 3 months. And I would be looking forward to going back to Germany because I feel like, oh, I can
Right.
breathe, I can see my friends. But now it's like, I don't even want to go back to Germany anymore. I don't want to. I feel
Understood.
like the friends that I have there, I feel like I can't connect with them the way that I can connect to people here, or the way I
Right.
can connect to people who know what it's like to live in Africa and who have this
Mm-hmm.
big African heart of love and stuff like that. So now it's completely changed around, but it was really, really, really difficult. And regarding gender, yeah, I tried to, within my marriage, I am a westernized lady, so I tell my husband, hey, this and this and that I don't like and I can't do. Like, don't ask me to cook for you, because if you ask me to cook for you, that's 2 hours lost that I could do work that brings money to our family, for example. So I tell him,
Right.
choose. I can cook for you, but then don't expect me to make money at the same time, okay? So
Right.
he understands that, and that's why he stopped telling me to do things, because I was like a lioness. I'm not gonna do this. But in public, obviously, I can't do that. In public, I am
Right.
a very child wife. Well, to Yaya, to my mother-in-law, I complain sometimes, but they understand that I come from a different culture. But I adapted so much. But there's certain things that I tell my husband, hey, here, that's it. I can't do that.
Nah. Okay, so well, a wife is still a wife to the man, regardless. Even if he's a warrior and a hunter of lions, at home he's still a husband. Okay, so I'll just take you to some other things that people don't really have a lot of clarity about in the Masai tribe. I just also found out that even in the Masai tribe, there are different communities, different families, or different unions or kind of groups. And so for us, from the outside, we only see one Masai family. We only see one Masai tribe. So from an insider, it's a bit different. So for us, we hear about men who are warriors, the fighter of lions. We know about the blood mills, the warrior shaving ceremony, the getting to adulthood initiation ceremony, and so on and so forth. What's your view about these practices of the Maasai? Can you share some with us? And what has been your perception before and now that you are part of that family?
I think in general, not just speaking about me, in general, there are lots of misconceptions about the Maasai. For example, what you often hear is they say, in order to become a warrior, you have to kill a lion. But that's not true. I mean, I have lived with them for 10 years nearly, and I've seen several initiation ceremonies of warriors, and they don't go out in the bush and try to find a lion. Because right where we live, there aren't that many lions left. So my husband said something very smart about that. He said, don't listen to people like that, because there aren't enough lions left in the wild if each little Maasai boy had to kill a lion to become a warrior. And I said, that's the smartest thing I heard, and that's the best explanation. So It might still be true. Maybe in Kenya, in some communities, they still do it. But I think generally that's just a myth that you read in those Maasai books, that in order for them to become a warrior, they have to kill a lion. Not true. They become circumcised. For us, it's a ceremony. They get circumcised at like 3 or 4 a.m. in the dark. And then there's a party for 3 days where they get a cow slaughtered and dancing and things like that. There are certain little customs within the ceremony that are being done. But killing a lion, no, that's not true. And yeah, you asked me about several ceremonies, and what I told you also is that within the Maasai, there are different subgroups of the Maasai. In each subgroup, they have different customs, or their customs they vary slightly. So the names that you told me, I think they're more for the Kisongo Maasai in Tanzania. We are part Kuyu Maasai, so we are slightly different.
Right.
And then there are a lot of subgroups. I think there are like 20 subgroups or something like that in Tanzania, and then a few also in Kenya, depending on region to region. And the customs, they vary slightly.
Okay. Thank you so much for the enlightenment. I mean, for us from outside, we only see one Maasai. We only see the dressing. We only see the way of life. We only see the colors, the animals, the milk, the blood meals, and that's all we see. Thank you so much for this enlightenment. I'm sure some other people that are actually also watching from different parts of the world, they get to now see the Maasai from the eyes of somebody who is actually inside. One of the culture of the Maasai is polygamy. And like you actually initially said, your father-in-law is married to three wives. And Yayai, who is your mother-in-law, is the eldest of them. And somehow, this old man has been able to manage to have some sort of harmony going on amongst this wife. Coming from a Caucasian background and a Western background where monogamy is the order of the day, and now being married to a Maasai warrior who, true to the culture of his people, maybe someday might decide to say, hey, Stephanie, yeah. What's your opinion about polygamy, and what's your position as the wife of Sekoine?
That's a very good question, and one that many people ask me. It's his right, so to say, as a Maasai man to marry as many women as he likes. But it's his right. So if he chose to do that, he could do it. But it depends from people to people. Some people choose to only stay with one wife. Some people choose to have many wives. And it's also a little bit to do with how many cows you have. Because in order to marry, you pay 12 cows. So if you don't have that many cows, you can't marry many women. So Koine has cows, but he doesn't want to. As a matter of fact, a little secret that I'm telling you, well, it's not a secret anymore. Before I came along, so I met Sekoine in 2011, and before I came along, he refused the Maasai lady who was brought to him by his father to marry. He refused her. He didn't want her. It has nothing to do with me. That's just his soul. He said, I don't want to marry someone who I did not choose. So, right. And then he stayed and wasn't married, and then he ended up finding me, and he chose me, and this is how I came to live here. So, with Sekoine wanting to marry another wife, when we fight, I tell him, go and get yourself another woman and leave me alone. He's really mad when I tell him that. So, I don't know, but seriously, after 10 years of being married, oh God, if he wanted to get himself another wife because he felt like he needed to have more children, I don't think right now I would be so mad at that, because I know it would just because he wanted to have more children, because that's his culture. Okay.
That is so very refreshing to know that at least you've not only accepted him as your husband, you've also accepted his people, his way of life, his culture, and all that. But I also believe that there's an advantage to that cross marriage and being in the same space as your husband, and amongst that is taking whatever you think is the best in your own culture and seeing where it can fit into in their own culture, and seeing how this relationship can actually help both parties. And one of those is your pet project, the reusable sanitary pad project for the women. Can you tell us about this and how much impact this has made in the lives of the Maasai women?
If I just want to give you the short background on that, because I came here and I lived here, I think, for 6 years or so, and I never thought there was anything the Maasai need from me. I always saw myself as below them and they above me. I always looked up to them, the way they live in harmony with nature, the way they can live without electricity, without running water, all that sort of stuff. To me, they were like half gods, and they still are. They're beautiful inside and out, and I really respect their culture. Even though there might be some things that are a little bit questionable about the culture, but I love it. I understand it. And this is what makes me love it. So for me, there was never a thing that I thought, I want to change this. Me as a Western woman, I'm so much smarter than them. I want to change that. Never, 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 never. I never thought I'm smarter than them. To this day, I believe they are much smarter than me in so many ways. But there came a really bad dry season. The year I had my son, actually in 2016, and a lot of our cattle died. They just keeled over from starvation because it didn't rain and there wasn't any grass. And that's where I really started thinking, hey, I'm a biologist. These are my cattle. This is my family. These are the Maasai who I love so much. There's something I can do. And I raised money to take them to a land management cinema and to teach them about rotational grazing in order to preserve the grass for the dry season, so that even if the dry season is really bad, they still have some grass to eat. This was
Right.
my first project, and this is the only reason why I opened my Instagram account. And then lots of people saw me on Instagram, and then there was actually a lady friend. It's just a lady I met on Instagram, and she said, "Hey, Stephanie, do you do something for the women? Like, I'm involved in Australia with an organization that makes reusable pads for the women." And at first, I thought, in all honesty, I thought, I don't know how the women deal with their period. I don't know if they need it. They never came to me saying anything about it. And I was like, I don't know. But then she said, I want to come and visit your family, and I'll bring you like 20 pads for your family. And then she came and she brought the women the pads, and we had some left over. And the women had started to talk about it to their friends. And then so many women came to my house and asked me, "Hey, Stephanie, do you still have some of those pads?" So I really realized that there's an issue there, that they really like them. So it was good that I agreed to give them the pads just to start with the women in our family. And from that, the project was born. And I was thinking, I want to make the pads ourselves because I don't want to rely on someone giving the pad to us. So I
Right.
trained my sister-in-law, Cindy, to make the pads, and we're making them up to this day. So it's going really well,
Ah.
and they really, really like it. It really is a need for them here.
And I also saw that from the proceeds of the pad, Sendo was able to buy herself a goat. That's commendable.
Yeah, 2 goats now.
Oh, two goats are growing. Okay, that's so nice. Okay, so and arising from that project, do you have any future project for the Maasai tribe, your family, in sight?
I'm always open for new things. What's really important for me is to preserve this beautiful culture, preserve their lands, because the land that they live on is not only preserved for them to enable to live like a true Maasai. The land that I live in is also, it's conservation. They look after the trees, the grass, there's wild animals. So this is really important to me. And it's not just important to me, it's important to the world. It's not like that I just like it and because I like it, I want to help. No, I understand that they're conservationists, that they're one of our planet's last remaining indigenous tribes, and they're
Right.
so valuable to our. So I'm always open. This is what I really want to do, to use my voice as a privileged white woman to, so to say, advocate for them online or whenever people want to invite me. I don't know. So I'm always open to doing new things and open to advocating for them and helping them in any way that they might need help.
Okay, so just on the party note, what's your relationship like with Larry, Moringe, Sendo, and Yayai, your father-in-law, and the rest of the Sokoine's family?
They're my family. Sokoine's brothers. So Sokoine is the firstborn. So all his brothers who are now warrior, like Muladi is a warrior now. He's one of the oldest warriors we have. But I came here and they were like 10-year-old little boys, and I watched them grow into men. So I
Right.
see them all as my brothers. I see them as family. I love them. My father-in-law is awesome. He drinks too much, but he's just the kindest man. He's so young. I love them all, and they love me like family also. We get on really well.
That's cool. Okay, so thank you so much, Stephanie, for sharing this moment with us. We feel really very privileged that you would actually spare time. But beyond that, also is the fact that we are able to see the Maasai from the eyes of someone who actually is a part of the family from an insider's view. Because most of the time we just see people from the outside and we just make our opinion. What are your final words to those people listening out there that just have not met the Maasai people? Also, maybe from the point of view of being a biologist, a conservationist, and also for your pet project, the reusable sanitary pads.
What I would like to say to the world and also to people here in Tanzania and Africa is to not condemn people because they might seem backward to you, or to not condemn culture, because indigenous culture is something really beautiful in our world and is really, really important. I would like to ask people to not want to try and make this world a place where everyone is the same, because the differences that we have in culture and language and the way we dress, that's what makes our world so beautiful. And also, true to the concept of the Traviator, I would like to say that your truth is not everyone's truth. My truth as a white woman when I came here was different to the truth of the Masai. But now I'm more closer to the truth of the Masai. So always stay open to other people's truth, listen, don't judge, and just be full of love.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, Stephanie, for sparing this time and for showing that love transcends race, color, language, and any form of human barriers that we could actually place. If only we have the heart of children. For example, Yannick knows no color. I'm sure he's totally colorblind. He is a true Masai boy. He doesn't see the other persons from any form of coloration. He's just living life based on love and just the rule of life. On this note, I just want to employ all our listeners that having seen the Masai tribe from the eyes of Stephanie, who is a wife of a true Masai man, and also from the fact that even the Masai community or the family does not see that Stephanie is any different than any human. That is their truth. You have a right to your truth, but the world also has its own truth. And we are hoping that through this exchange between ourselves and Stephanie, we've been able to bridge that truth with understanding. Until the next time on the Traviator, my name is Tayo Orishadare. Keep learning the world.
Thanks for joining us on The Traviator. Please stay up to date with us by visiting thetraviator.com. You may also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all podcast outlets. Until next time, keep learning the world, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Traviator Podcast.